Hey everyone, this is Cyndi at an open door, May 18th, 2026, where the rubber meets the road. It was clear guidance to look at God's voice today, which speaks all through the day, and I have a contemplation and a pointing to share. But first, the song. So let me play that.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, to reach mountains, shining mine river. All my friends there, older than those rich, down, down, down the mountains, doing like a breeze. Come it all, take me on to the place I belong. West Virginia, my heart, mama, take me home, country road.
I hear a voice in the morning hours. She calls me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get the feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday.
All my memories, all gather on her. My heart let you treasure to water.
Dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, a teardrop in my eye. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, won't you take me home? Country road, take me home to the place
It was fun watching how distracted I got once I realized that the captions were not in English and they were not Spanish and they were not French. I could not tell. Like I wished Pia was here because somehow I felt like they may have been Swedish. But that was fun. So it was Dutch. Thank you, May. It was fun. Um, and it was fun watching for how for a few minutes there was a disconnect here. Like something was wrong and I couldn't figure out what it was. And West Virginia was the only word that was right. In any case, uh, God's voice speaks to me all through the day. It was clear that was the teaching to present. And I continually sat with it over the last X number of days because all I kept hearing was Richard in my head telling me it's quiet. Like God's voice is quiet, it's peace. And if that's all I was going to say, then I'm done, right? So, which would have been okay. I sat with it this morning and I'm going to just read my contemplation, what the before, and I wrote some things down and sat in a prayer, took it to my dyad experience, and then what happened afterwards, which was a lot of Joel Goldsmith, but and a little bit of guide. So I'm just going to read it and then hand things over. I do believe a bird is building a nest right out in my porch. So if I'm distracted, easily distracted by birds. That's what this character is. So if you see me going like this, it's just watching a bird build a nest. Like God is good, right? All right. So here's what I have. May 18th, 2026. These next words are all from this lesson. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. It is quite possible to listen to God's voice all day without interrupting your regular activities in any way. The part of your mind in which truth abides is in constant communication with God, whether you are aware of it or not. And we could argue about who the you is, but there's no argument in me at this point. I catch something in here that keeps insisting that it's not God or that it's a part of God and I don't even identify with it so much anymore, except when I do. But that's the aspect of self that it's referring to as far as what works for me here. The part of your mind in which truth abides is in constant communication with God, whether you are aware of it or not. Listen in deep silence. Be very still and open your mind. Sink deep into the peace that waits for you. The goal is your quote unquote real home. The goal is God. And that's editing a little bit from that lesson, but it does state that in that lesson. And then I wrote right before the dyad, Dear Lord, as I enter the dyadic experience, which is this day, it is with wholly empty hands. I will to completely surrender the part of the mind that appears to talk about you, about God, but does not know you. The conceptual aspect of this mind. Help me, please. I will to have all of me home in you. Hence the song, by the way, Take Me Home. Um, yeah, I have learned that whenever I ask and you shall receive. You need but call and God will answer. Yeah. So I took it into the dyad, and here's what happened after the dyad. Thank you. Now what? Rest, open, relax. Deep listening. You would think that deep listening is hard, right? Or takes effort. But I was clearly told, in a way that I know it's to be true, deep listening is gentle, effortless, and patient. You cannot get it wrong and you cannot fuck it up. God is always here, right? So we can't chase God away. God's voice is always with us. We cannot do or say or be anything where it will reject us. It's always here. It's always now. From the realization that all is an expression of dot, dot, dot. Yes, even this, no matter what's going on in your space. Even if you're rejecting the message, even if it feels like you can't hear anything, even as if the mind hasn't shut up for days or weeks or years or decades, it's all an expression of God. It has to be, since God is all there is. I know who you are in truth. You are the light of the world. And I watched, it was so interesting as I was writing this. And because it felt like that God's voice was speaking to me, right? So it wasn't, I know who I am. It was, I know who you are. And I felt it. I stopped and paused and rested and left it like that because that's the way it was coming through. I know who you are in truth. You are the light. You are the light of the world. Course in Miracles. You are in God, the guides. I know what you are in truth. I know what you are in truth. You are an individuated expression of the infinite invisible, Joe Goldsmith. You are as of God, the guides. I'm saying these things just because I am in awe of how these seemingly different voices are all, they're creating a tapestry here that is creating a wholeness that is holding whatever Cyndi thinks she is, as Cyndi rises in consciousness and becomes of greater use. I know how you serve in truth. The light of the world brings peace to every mind through forgiveness, remembering that all the things you think happened didn't, right? And then I was called to the infinite way, Joel Goldsmith. And you may recognize how in alignment these words are to A Course in Miracles. We are the fulfillment of God, that place in consciousness where God shines through, which is also the guides, right? Telling us that our in service, we just are the lighthouse. That's it. That's our only job, is to be the lighthouse. And then God's voice speaks through that. It is impossible to be the light of the world. Yes, Joe Goldsmith used that. It is impossible to be the light of the world and not dispel the darkness of those about us. Our only job. How often are we being told? This is the voice of God, that our job is to be the light, and that the light does not decide where it shines. It just shines everywhere. It is impossible to be the light of the world and not dispel the darkness of those about us. And then when we're in this place, Richard, again, I was back to Richard saying, oh, I was screaming at God, where's your voice? Where's your voice? Where's your voice? I could picture, I've had screaming matches in the car with God where there's no voice left at the end. The car is so wonderful for that, right? And 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 uh and God doesn't care because God's voice speaks to us all through the day. And at the other end, there's just this stillness, there's this peace. And God's voice is speaking because God's voice emits its tone as light and, when necessary, as words in, as, and through us. But I, at least, and I expect if you pay attention, you can tell when the words come purely through that space outside of mind, outside of the part that likes to talk about God but doesn't know God, um, that they carry a tone and a vibration and a beingness. And when we're in that place, without the veil of the conceptual mind, This is also the words from Joel, and I'm wearing them like a blanket today. We feel an inner warmth, a living presence, a divine assurance. Sometimes we feel a strong hand in ours or behold a smiling face over our shoulder. We are never alone and we know it. This sweet presence gives us an inner rest. It enables us to relax from the strain of the world and brings us to the joy of peace. For those of us who are in inner Ramana, there is this line. I shared it I shared a lot of things in the sanctuary yesterday, but really every time I meet inner Ramana or any of these teachings that pull me in with love, I hear something new. One of the things I heard in inner Ramana this time that I hadn't heard before um, were these words: the effortlessness of following, just sinking into the effortlessness of following divine guidance. This sweet presence gives us an inner rest. It enables us to relax from the strain of the world and brings us the joy of peace. In truth, it is a peace be still to every problem or strain of human existence. It is a healing influence within us, and yet it is felt by all those about us. So God's voice speaks to us all through the day. It never stops. It's a tone, it's a vibration. As it is needed, it's translated into words. As needed, it gets translated into action. Ultimately, our job is to accept our job, the part of us that feels itself separate from the source of all. Our job is to acknowledge that as we say yes to this work, we become the light. Like this is hard right now. There's a lot of things going on here. It's hard to express. But I'm in this place now where I recognize all I want is to be the light and let the light do its thing. What part of me doesn't trust that? That's the part that has a conceptual understanding, but doesn't really yet know God. And in the moment it arises, I simply give it to God. I bring it to the upper room and I let it be transformed by that. So that's what happened. As I said yes to bringing a topic and facilitating and letting that topic um, flow through for anyone who is here. Because as the light of the world, we dispel the darkness in all we touch. Isn't that a beautiful space? And with that, I hand things over to Andrew.
Thank you, Cyndi. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. Great to see you all. I love you all. Voice, speech, what's it for? It's for communication. Why do we have to communicate? Everything, every item has a word that we associate with. Every tree has a name, every plant, every animal. But we humans are not the only ones who communicate. Whales communicate, dolphins communicate, gorillas, chimpanzees, monkeys, they all communicate. And it's basically for survival. And early humans had to communicate for survival. What they probably didn't have a lot of words, just where the game was, where you could find berries, where you could find food. And that as civilizations emerged and things got more complicated, they had to have more words, and the more complicated the world got, the more words we needed. So that's one form of communication. And that's why we need communication, because of this separation thing. If there were only one, unity needs no words. If everything were red, the same shade of red, we wouldn't need the word color. We wouldn't need the name red. It would just be. So separation makes words necessary. So how does God speak to us? I've never heard God's voice, but I hear your voices, and we are all part of God. That's one way we can hear God's voice, by listening to others, by listening to each other. But how does God speak directly to us? God has spoken to me, but not with words, with feelings, with a feeling. The Course says that there are only two emotions, love and fear. And the only real emotion is love. And God is love. And I've felt God's love. And I've felt it several times. I can almost feel it now. I feel it now. And I'm extending it to you all. But that's all God's ever said to me. I love you. That's all I've ever heard from God. I love you. Everything else I learned from you all and other people. So that's how God speaks to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. And I don't know about anybody else, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the love. Thank you. What's next? Please, Lenny.
I think that conversation with the divine is absolutely all day, every day, waking or sleeping. It's going on. I hmm, like I'm sitting here trying to think of, was there a time that even in the past 24 hours when I could not hear the divine? And what I realize is there are times when we don't know what we're hearing. We don't recognize that God is constantly is constantly speaking to us, constantly interacting, constantly engaging. We call it all kinds of other things, and it's interesting because my system, what it is showing me about this right now, is me telling my mother 4 days before she left, "I know you're leaving, but don't leave without saying goodbye." And she nodded her head. And then there was those couple of days before she left when she was actually had no more language. And I went in to check on her, and she all of a sudden opened her eyes and turned over and said, "Hey, baby." And I was so taken aback until when I went to respond, she was already gone back to wherever she was. And as I walked away was this reminder, goodbye doesn't always look like you think it will. And just even in that, the recognition of God knowing exactly what I needed and bringing it exactly into manifestation, knowing that I hear, I cannot, and it was written in some of the Ramana homework the other day about the being looking for the cracks in the truth, and that were unable to find any cracks in the truth. So, I mean, it's interesting too for us because the more at home I feel with this silence that's happening inside, the louder I hear life talking to me, the louder I hear the interaction of life with this being. And more and more, as we say I or me or we, it's all one thing. So, but I think it's constant, that conversation. I think we just have not been trained to recognize it.
Thank you.
And I love you, Regis. I love you all, but Regis, you got something extra going on there.
Lonnie speaks. He wants to be your driver, Lonnie. Hey, William, welcome home.
Well, it it does feel like a different kind of home. I have these 2 weeks, a week in Florida, a week in Vermont with our two sons, families, and 6 grandkids. Big wedding. I'm so struck by the energy, the love, the vitality, the youth. And at these big meetings, I cannot actually understand what's being said. It's just a cacophony, a sound, and it doesn't really matter. And I'd get right up to the person, they'd speak right into my ear, and it didn't matter. It was just connection and love and presence. That word presence just keeps speaking to me. And I don't know what I want to say, but I just had so many different experiences, and it's like the word glimpse. I'm seeing glimpses in people when their essence, what I call the essence of the moment, when their presence keeps showing up, and then the words take over, the reality, the stories, the energy, and then their essence. And I have my two sons, three sons, that it's so different. My connection with each is so unique, feels. One is very quiet, and I just enter into his presence. And we're there just sharing at a level that's so deep. The others are a different way. And I guess present moment awareness, those three words are resonating in so deep in me. I'm there, I'm there, I'm there, and then I'm not. And that not is all the energy and the deliciousness of life. And oh, I could just enjoy it so exuberance is just the vitality and the energy, the love that's in the stories, the connections. And then I'm just present, present, present. So I go back and forth in that present moment awareness. I've struggled with that, and it's becoming more and more. That's who I am, just aware, aware. And then I dive into this pool of what feels like just everything. It's all one. And that's what I don't find myself using God, the word, so much. It's just all one now. It seems like none of us, all of us are just so together in the oneness that, of course, when we communicate, we're just being present with the oneness. And the oneness is speaking, is moving all of us together. And then we go, it just, and I love it, the silence, the now. And I guess that's what I don't know. I don't have a lot of pretty words for it. I just wanted to share, and I feel I just feel so much of life and people, who they are and who they're not. And I think it's that who they're not, I get the glimpse of who they are when I see them doing something, and it's the doing melts into the moment of now. And it's so wonderful because it's kind of a back and forth flow that just goes on and on. So it's just crazy. This is so nonsense what I'm saying, but I have a nice feeling. I just wanted to share something because all of you are so present when I get those glimpses of who you are, and I love it. So I just love it. So that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, William. My attention keeps being drawn to you, Chuck. I'd love to know what's going on. Did you spend time with this lesson? Do you have thoughts and experience you'd like to share? Chuck, did you did you realize I was focused on you? Yeah, you.
Did you speak my name?
I did a
My
couple
air
of times.
conditioner just went on and I couldn't hear any.
I
So
was
I don't
asking
know.
you how you're doing with
God's
this.
speaking to me, I guess.
Yeah, my attention was drawn towards you, and I was curious if you spent any time with this lesson when it was assigned, and if you have insights or thoughts or questions or an experience or anything.
I did spend some time with the lesson. I have the ACIM app, and I brought up lesson 49, and I've been spending time with it yesterday and today. And I've had some experiences, but I don't know how to put them into words. uh, it all kinds of things have been occurring since I focused on this, but I just don't have uh, any way to really express what I've been experiencing right now. If it comes to me, I will jump in and share it with you.
Oh, can I ask you some questions?
Sure.
Um, so you've been literally walking around with the last, somehow I knew that yesterday and today, and you feel like it has affected you. Has it at any given time interrupted a story or a problem and brought you more peace?
Yes.
It has.
It has, but it's also I live in that for a while, and then all of a sudden it gets interrupted again with the other mind, and then I'm into the inner Ramana and trying to release it, close, uh, go to the I am, and
Oh, yeah, but
I've been doing that a lot, and so it's been back and forth for me, and it's but I've been more gentle with myself with it and less because I've been feeling sorry for myself, and I've also been beating myself up for not feeling like I'm getting what I should be getting or where I should be at. But that eased up while I was doing this.
well,
If that
so
makes any sense to you.
well, can I ask it again? Because again, Inner Ramana says that we should practice 1,000 times a day. So because the feeling sorry for ourselves, the believing the drama, all of those things, it's a habit. And this work is about interrupting the habit until the new understanding that we're always with God is created. So let me ask you this again, because I think I heard it. When you were feeling sorry for yourself or the drama of the world is hitting and you started to go down that path and something reminded you to either go back to this remembering that God voice speaks to you all through the day, or you use the interrupt of the mantra, either one of those things. Did I just hear you say that when you remembered to practice, the practice brought you to a state of quiet and peace?
Yes,
All
you
right,
heard that, and it did.
so it works.
It worked.
So every time you remember to practice, it works.
Every time I remember to practice, it worked.
Thank you. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Really cool. Really cool. Really grateful.
I'm really grateful that you shared. It's a beautiful thing to know that the part of the mind that stays focused on identifying as something other than an expression of God can be interrupted. And it's as simple as remembering that God speaks to me or taking the time to practice the mantra or whatever. They're all, or just even going into the pause. Like we have over the years learned a whole bunch of ways to interrupt that mind. And every time we interrupt the mind, we find more peace. That's what you just said.
And I can concur with that. Yes.
All right. I'm glad we were able to say that out loud. Perhaps it will
Thank you.
remind us all to just interrupt more often because literally the teaching is simple. Like the more we sink into the truth surrounding these teachings, the simpler they become. That's a key sign we're moving in a good direction. William's here, so remembering to just hang now is all it really takes. But the mind spins, but we have the tools to interrupt it, and they're simple. And when we use the tools, the mind gets interrupted and we reconnect. We reconnect to God's voice, which is a tone, a vibration, an action, or a word as required. But thank you, Chuck. I'm so glad that I followed the impulse to have you share. It was perfect. Thank you.
Thank
The
you.
day goes in the house.
Hi, so great to be here always. I just, my heart just always like speaks to me, or I don't know. Like when you said we're always with God, that just, that just takes my breath away. It just does. It's because I know it's true. I know that everything is God and we're always with our Father, always. It's just, we don't know it or we don't believe it or whatever is going on. But that's why I love just getting quiet. Because when we get quiet for just a minute, we remember this love that we are. And for me, it brings me so much joy and love. That's what I am and always am. We am. So I'm so grateful to be here always. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Lonnie.
I know I've spoken, but a word was used by Chuck, and it set loose this whole discussion in the system. And I've never seen Star Wars, but that guy, that little guy, I can
Yoda.
see, yeah, try, no try, that kind of a thing is what I'm hearing in the repeat.
Look at you.
And
Well, hold on a second, Lonnie. Show it again, me. Let me pinpoint. Let's spotlight for everyone. There he is.
yes,
We can't
yes.
read what it says, but
And
that's him.
so part of what I'm hearing is so much of the amazing wisdom that actually came through that. But that idea of try, and I heard Chuck say, I'm trying. And years ago, in working with people, one of the things that we started offering in consideration is to stop trying, because trying always offers, and I'm not saying that to you, I'm just saying that's how we think about it. It always offers this out into separation. Well, I tried and I couldn't do it, so I failed. But do or don't do, in either the doing or the not doing, we are always doing our best, and the divine is expressing and experiencing that experience too. There is no failure in all that the divine does through us. There is no failure. There is doing it or not doing it. But humans create this trying almost to, it's almost like a setup for failure. Because if when I think about all the different things I might try to do, there is no top. It's just an imagined place of being and going and getting. And the places that I get to that I think I was trying to get to look nothing like I thought they were going to look. And I forget that it was all of that in between that was the most important. So I think in trying, we're doing our absolute best in whatever moment we stand in. And it feels so different when I stand in that moment and say, I'm doing my best, than to stand in that moment and say, where I'm trying, but I'm failing. I recognize there is no failure.
Before I hand things to Amy, I've sat with that word try because I don't know if you read the lesson. Did you read the lesson 49? Try is all over that lesson. And I'm going to just read this one paragraph and then hand things over to Amy. And I've had to sit almost with the way some people are neutralizing the word God. And this lesson is having me sit and neutralize that word try. Because one of the things I've really gotten to understand about whatever the Cyndi story is, it's a progression of undoing. And sometimes when I go to that teaching, which I've lived in for decades and I understand it up here, but something in my space says, well, I can't do it. And so there's no use trying. So there's lots of different ways to be with it. But this is what it says here. Listen in deep silence, be very still and open your mind. Go past all of the raucous shrieks and sick imaginings that cover your real thoughts and obscure your eternal link with God. Sink deep into the peace that waits for you beyond the frantic, righteous, riotous thoughts and sounds and sights of this insane world. You do not live there. We are trying to reach your real home. We are trying to reach the place where you are truly welcome. We are trying to reach God. And I felt a resistance to that word try and have been sitting with it in an interesting space and realized that I could, I could just redefine it as showing up and doing my best, trying is doing my best in the moment. I think you might have said just do your best. There's something in me that decided not to reject that word anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And when I was reading that, and I read it this morning again the second time, when I read that passage, what I read, and I heard the passage in the reading, but then I also heard, I am already home. I am already in connection. I am already.
Yeah. I'm grateful that there are parts here that aren't. Do you know what I mean? There are literally parts here that aren't yet there, and those are the parts that are being brought home that need to
That's
still. So,
that's the beauty of the witnessing of the being.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Lonnie. I love that you're here, and I love that Amy is here. Hey, Amy.
Good morning, everyone. Um, so the rubber just hit the road for me with this thing that Lonnie pointed out and that you pointed out, Cyndi, with the word trying, and it goes right back to who is trying. For me, that just really gets in the way of this whole thing. And if God is everywhere all the time, all at once, then there is always the voice. To call it a voice, I think, is to try, because it's not a voice. It's something beyond a voice. And so if I think I'm listening for a voice, even if it's listening in my heart, in a way, I'm getting in the way of myself. Um, I caught myself this morning trying to make a decision all by myself. I get the Kat Van Ordensen um, things in my email, and I caught myself trying to decide whether to save it or not. And I just had to laugh because it was just like that in this instant. It was like, should I save this or not? And I just, it was wordless, but I caught it, and it just, it's it's constant. The constancy and of the presence of the all is unwavering. And it's just me, little me, that seems to get in the way of that. And the um the the example that I just want to bring to it, and I'm not sure how great this example is, but I noticed this as I was outside yesterday, and the birds are out. It was an 80-degree day, so the birds are out, the sun is shining, the wind is gentle, there's a gorgeous breeze. I can almost feel the plants growing. Everything is green, which my eye loves the color green. And there was movement of the leaves in the wind, movement of the birds going to and from the feeder and to and from just the top of the trees down to the ground and then back up and then out into the woods and then back down. And everything just, it arose in my awareness how alive everything was at that moment, how alive everything is. And that was God's voice, that aliveness. And I rejoiced in it. And it's just because of the season that I notice it now and the contrast between winter and spring. But it's actually always there. I'm just not always picking up on it. Um, so it just comes to me, the voice is always the voice. The presence is always presenting. It's always presenting itself, right? And I just get in the way of hearing it when I'm listening to my fear and I'm not listening to the love, as Andrew said. Ah, so I don't have to do anything, right? I don't have to do anything. It's always there, right? Ah, I love us.
Love us too. Chuck.
Just real quick, I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but it jumped at me. I was before I went to my 12-step meeting this morning, and I was dealing with it and had started doing reading that other lesson. I started watching the podcast that we're supposed to be listening to for Thursday.
Salvatore Poe.
Salvatore Poe, yeah, and I
Did you
had
go on a
been
holiday?
I talked about the holiday, but what jumped out at me, and I felt like it tied into what I was experiencing and what the gift I got in here, not hearing God's voice, but hearing, getting it, but not not literally hearing it. But when I was struggling with some of that stuff I told you about, and it, I got from him this, and I made a note out of it that said, "Beloved, turn around, I'm still here." And it was just so on time, and it blew me away, and it settled me down. So I hope that I didn't interrupt for no reason here for this. Uh, I felt
Can I just, Chuck, who is it you think you interrupted?
you
Why do
guys.
you Are you holding yourself apart from us?
No,
So, in what way are you an interruption?
I just felt like I'd already taken up some time, but I do that from time to time, all the time anyway. Anyway,
I love every time you speak.
so
You're a gift to us all. Look at there's even a heart in Amy's box.
I saw that. Thanks.
Regis, is God's voice speaking to you right now? You don't know?
Yeah, always. Always. I don't have to do anything or go anywhere. It's always, I'm always willing, listening. Um, we just kind of work like that. But as Chuck, this last interaction that you and Chuck had, um, I had an interaction just this morning getting out of bed with me and the divine, reminding that we are not an inconvenience. That program from our parents, be a good boy, don't rock the boat, good boys don't rock the boat, uh, good boys don't say what they need to say because it may be an inconvenience to somebody else. You know, don't ask for a bottle right now because I'm busy. You know, don't ask for food right now because I'm busy. Don't ask me to buy something for 50 cents because I don't have any money. So that uh, thing that we say is me, or that's just how I am, it's just a program that's coming up to be undone once and for all. That I am not an inconvenience. I am not a bother. I am not an interruption. The world is a safe place. And we may have not gotten as a 2-year old, a 3-year old, a 6-year old, a 7-year old, that the world is a safe place. And so that's what I'm getting right now. Thank you.
Thank you. So there's a line in Divine Union that brought tears to my eyes. It still does, because somehow it feels like God's speaking. And the line is simple. It's two lines. The first line says, "Not only are you safe, you are perfectly cared for." Hi, Amy.
I can't let what Regis said go without just thanking him for it. I mean, you just captured something from me, Regis, that is so unconscious in us as kids. I mean, I could do a Cyndi here and just about cry. How many times were we told verbally and non-verbally as little children that you are an inconvenience? Your presence is an inconvenience to me. What a devastation. You know, my sister once, even as a young adult, said to my dad, I didn't ask to be born, because obviously he was telling her that somehow that she was an inconvenience. And he said to her, well, if you had asked, the answer would have been no. I mean, the violence that is committed on the innocent mind that is just expressing itself and having joy in being. You just hit it, Regis, and I want to thank you for that, because if we don't see it, we can't heal it. And wow, you know, I thought I knew that, but when you said it, it just went right to my heart. So I thank you.
Livy.
Hey, everybody. Wow, this is absolutely just such a wonderful, wonderful meeting. Thank you all so much. And it's always interesting. Sorry, my cat just stuck his head in something. Um, at least he didn't get stuck. It's never what you know, the voices that I hear aren't even my voice. They're not messages that I would give myself. They're messages that I heard a very, very long time ago. And what a relief to understand that that's not the voice. That's not the voice. That's not the voice of love. And I'm so grateful for Alcoholics Anonymous and given me a lot of tools too. And I've gotten to where, especially the third step prayer, where you turn everything over to the care of God as we understand Him. And so I've gotten to where when, like, I have a couple of appointments today and I just sit in my car before I go in and pause and say that prayer and I turn everything over. And I've been really shocked when I have done that. And then I get back in my car after, and it's like, that wasn't me. I mean, that wasn't, I was saying things that were this voice that is like, wow, that's coming through me. And it does come through me when I'm willing to really surrender moment to moment to moment and live in that. And, you know, I have a wonderful friend that says it tells better than it lives. And I'm grateful to accept that I'm an imperfect being. And I'm an imperfect being in the perfection of love. And it's recognizing that I'm so much more than I was ever raised to think I was. I'm not a defective. I'm not defective. And I don't have to be in defense anymore. It's about being open and guided instead of constricted to, you know, I was in survival mode for a long time, and it's such a relief to let go, to just let go and allow to hear the voice coming through. And it's so incredibly helpful to hear how y'all do that and to be my beautiful reminders, you know, daily. And then y'all leave me on my own Saturday and Sundays. But yeah, this is such a good meeting today. Thank you all so much. Lots of love.
Thank you.
Vivi, I offer that as the divine expression, you are in fact a perfect being. There is no imperfection other than the perfection of that created you. And just an offer.
There's definitely a nest being built, which is extraordinary. Yeah. We've got 2 minutes left.
May.
May.
May. Let's hear May.
Regis wants to hear your voice.
Hi, good morning. Um, yeah, I think when I started contemplating this lesson earlier today, I was I was focused more on just spirit being this wordless communication that is just ever permeating and only expansive in the sense that it is built by recognition as thus, which is an accumulation and it ebbs and flows. But I think that the strength and the principality of it as just like kind of opening into this sense of universality. And as we further like we 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 get more unbound by the specificities informed by the like brevity of kind of the historical presence that we've all accumulated over lifetimes, over history, just collective history. And I was thinking about how Andrew mentioned like people before what we call like civilization. And I think about like archaic revival, and I think about maybe reframing our ideas about like so-called like primitive people as maybe they were just more like connected to their inherent wordless spirited existence and they were able to just talk in that way. And that is the exact framework that I find very hopeful for our collective future, especially in this age when we are so globally connected in the way that we could just spread it. Yeah. But that starts at the mind level, which is really important to realize. And it's really cool to have this space where we can just build it with each other. And yeah, I mean, I've never met any of you in person, but it like I still feel you all so deeply, which is so beautiful and special. And yeah, it brings a sweep of bodily gratitude. Yeah.
Thank you. And that has taken us to the hour. I'm going to stop the recording. Then I do have something quick.